Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel, DMC Horrors. I am your host, Dale. When you think of asylums, what comes to mind? Is it the haunting scenes from movies and video games? The grim halls filled with the echoes of tortured souls? White walls, doctors, nurses, and patients all dress in white, or merely something straight out of a nightmare? Today, we journey back to the infamous 19th century asylums. These were places of confinement for the criminally insane, where inmates were subjected to nightmarish experiments, all in the name of medical science. Brutalized and forgotten, these souls were removed from society, hidden away in institutions that have since become relics of horror and fascination. Nowadays, these asylums are mostly abandoned, eerie buildings that attract thrill seekers and paranormal enthusiasts. They hope to glimpse the ghostly remnants of those who suffered unimaginable horrors within these walls. The truth is, these places did exist. Some have been reclaimed by nature or redevelopment, but a few still stand, silent witnesses to the past, and they have stories to tell, stories of survival and despair from both patients and staff. In Australia, one asylum stands out for its notorious history, Woolston Park Mental Asylum. In the mid to late 1800s, mentally ill individuals in Queensland were sent to Sydney until, in 1864, the Woogaroo Lunatic Asylum was established in Brisbane. It opened its doors on January 10, 1865, receiving its first patients transported from Brisbane jail by river steamer, a small steamboat that would travel along the Brisbane River and the Bremer River. Over time, Woolston Park expanded dramatically, adding buildings, wards, and even recreational facilities. Despite the growth, the conditions were harrowing. Overcrowding, understaffing, and the employment of former minors and prisoners as staff only added to the chaos. Then came the wars. By 1942, war veterans suffering from severe mental trauma became a significant part of the asylum's population. These men, already scarred by the horrors of war, were subjected to experimental treatments and banned drugs. Many never left, living out their days in a new kind of hell. Imagine surviving the horrors of war only to be thrust into an asylum where the nightmare never ends. The abuse and mistreatment continued for years, affecting men, women, and even children as young as 11. Treatments were often as terrifying as the conditions. Lobotomies and electroshock therapy were common. Crude attempts to fix broken minds. Instruments were forced through eye sockets, and electric currents were used to induce seizures, all in a desperate bid to find cures. It's believed that thousands of bodies buried in this third cemetery were exhumed between 1945 and 1948. According to newspaper reports, around 2,800 bodies were removed, though cemetery records have only accounted for approximately 200 of those, which were relocated to the nearby Goodna General Cemetery. The general assumption is that the exhumed bodies were reinterred into full-sized graves. However, this was unlikely, as a worker at the time claimed the remains were placed in small boxes, laid end-to-end in trenches. At Goodna General Cemetery, a memorial plaque honors all those who died at Brisbane Mental Hospital, and whose final resting place is unknown. This is what the asylum appears today. Even though the buildings that still stand are long abandoned and closed to the public, the eerie sense of pain and sadness still haunt this place today, fenced and under constant security surveillance 24/7 and patrolled by police. Only time will be the fate of this long-forgotten asylum. Thank you everybody for watching my video. Stay tuned for more content of these haunting places.